Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Okay, guys, so we got the second monitor hooked up, and we could watch and see if there's any microphone malfunctions, and then we'll know for sure, when they cut us out, because we'll see them cutting us out. Who's they?
I know, right?
Who's they, really?
Those nameless, faceless beings.
Yes, make sure you're subscribed to all three channels, Evolutionary, EEARTS, and Heart's Home. And so we start with, disclosure. It seems like it's one of the top three things that's always trending right now. And, so many sightings. This one right here, somebody looking outside a window, and what is that? Is it one of ours? Is it somebody else's? That's such a fascinating topic. And as you guys have been subscribers for years, we've shared so many of our own photos over the years, photos that we've taken everywhere from the Nevada desert right by Area 51, New Mexico, Arizona, California, also, in other Mississippi. Oh, yeah. Here you have an alleged Area 51 video of 3 orb spheres being tested this is at Area 51 again. Tested, and this was supposedly leaked in 2014 as these orbs are just going around Area 51. The real reveal has already been revealed a long time ago. There's been so many people out there, from Phil Schneider to others, that have talked about this. There's extraterrestrials working alongside humans. It's been that way always.
But the key is they need to keep that card very close to them. That's a playing card that's very important. For control reasons. They need us to think that we are the only ones here, we're the only ones on the planet, and there's only this one belief system, and if you believe anything other than that, well, then, you're an outcast, because that's what keeps people in the pen. That's what keeps humans, kind of flocked together, is this idea that we're here alone. So it's really important for them to keep that. But it was curious watching these orbs fly over Area 51, because what I got in my head was these are something like the tall whites. We've had a lot of coverage about those lately, but these are very prevalent in Area 51 over by Vegas. It's like they have this huge operation there where they definitely work with humans, and they travel in different ways, and this is one of the ways they travel. And they have surveillance. These beings do have a lot of say in what goes on with our military.
Oh, absolutely. Our military is their tool.
Yeah.
That's the thing we got to get across. Our military is their military. It's their tool. We police ourselves for them.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all right out there. And still we'll get people that say, we live in a closed system. Well, of course, we're in a closed system. We have an atmosphere. Just think of the ocean. Can a fish jump out of the water? Yeah, it can. It can land on the bank and it could die. We could jump into the water. We could come back out of the water. We could go into the Earth's atmosphere. We could come out of the Earth's atmosphere. And beings do this all the time. All the time. This is Uri Geller talking about... Well, I'll use his words. Friends, I saw them with my own very eyes. I was there in a refrigerated vault with Dr. Werner von Braun. And again, he was an NAZI scientist. Sure, whether or not he willingly helped the NAZIs, many scientists are truly just about science, and they just want to prove things to themselves, and they want to see what they can do and what they can discover. Any way you look at it, whether he was being coerced at the threat of death to his family or anything like that, very well could be. He was taken in Operation Paperclip into the U.S. structure and actually ran NASA. And then on his deathbed, he spoke of how there was going to be all these different events coming. They were going to have, at first, the communist threat, then they were going to have the terrorist threat, and they were going to have an extraterrestrial alien invasion, and then an asteroid threat as well. So, again, he said all that supposedly on his deathbed. Now, whether that was part of disclosure, whether, again, it was, a real confession by somebody that recognized that he worked for a dark power structure and wanted to kind of alleviate some of the karma, I don't know. And we haven't really scanned him, trying to find him on the other side. And, something we could look at in the future, because Cindy has been able to scan and see where different, people are, including Nostradamus, Edgar Cayce, John Dee, the court astrologer, who was so famous for his Enochian magic. And again, he was thinking he was in touch with archangels, but no, he was in touch with Draco and the likes, the very draconian grid that controls the planet. So he says he had an encounter with them when I was 5. There are non-human built vehicles. There are bodies. There are living aliens amongst us. The Israeli government knows about everything I have seen. So does the NSA. I had photos which I took with my Minex camera, and they were stolen from my 57th apartment in New York. Wait until I find the negatives. Yeah, they've always been here. And Jacques Vallée, with his work, saying UFOs are not necessarily extraterrestrial spacecraft. They may be a manifestation of a much larger multidimensional reality that we are just beginning to comprehend. And again, it's kind of all of the above. There are mechanical craft. There are Merkabas, which are light bodies. Many of them are literally light bodies. And if you have an activated pineal gland, Kundalini has been activated, and you have a fully activated Merkaba, you can travel off planet now. You can explore many different realms. You can leave your body and go explore. And there's many beings that do just that. They come here in their Merkaba. So there's all of the above. This has been viral. This is a woman that accused a man of not being real. Maybe an NPC, right? That's the term, NPC. Yeah. I mean, we don't play video games at all. And, so I've heard that term, non-playing character. And so she just was saying, this guy's not real, this guy's not real. Well, she either had a few too many glasses of wine, but it feels more like some other type of substance, which may be very legal. Maybe she's got anxiety. She goes to the DR and he gives her something. This will calm you down. Well, it didn't work. It didn't work. And, her eyes were not right. She was definitely not in a very, very clear state of mind. Yet what Cindy picks up with this is it's alphabet soup related. Yes. To the AIC. We turn that around.
Yeah, I mean, this has really bothered me from the very beginning about it, and other people may disagree, but this is what I've picked up, is the non-playing character type of scenario is very dangerous, and we do have these alphabet soups implanting ideas in people to turn them against one another. And if you put the idea in someone's head that other people are not real, they do whatever they want to these other people with the idea that there is no thought, there's no feelings, there's no emotion, that they're not doing any harm. And we can all be subject to this. The realm of spirituality is very vast. And don't think those alphabet soups don't dive in to cause problems and plant issues that could cause a wider spread situation and really make people be in more fear. And I think in some ways, that's why people are afraid when you step outside of that box, because there are dangers. That's legitimate, but don't think that they're not planted in a deliberate way. So this is something that bothers me. Every being that we see around us is here from source. Those in the 3D are pets. It's this NPC situation has always bothered me. It just doesn't sit right, has never sat right. Even, it's the same sort of situation like when I went to church. I knew that there was something about it that just didn't fit. I knew there was something about it that was wrong, and I get the same gut feeling, and I just don't like it. That's where I stand personally.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think back to those Third Reich ties and saying these people are a problem, they have to go. And, I could see them pulling this out as NPCs. They're just NPCs. Oh, it's exactly what they did to the Native Americans. They're just savages. They don't really have a soul, or, they're going to, burn forever in hellfire. So we'll convert them and then we'll execute them, or we'll just shove them off their land. And, this again feels like it's just another psyop of a very large kind.
Want this information out there. This is very deliberate. They want to advertise the NPC scenario and get that out in people's minds as seeds.
Yet, what about people that can detect that somebody's not really Homo sapiens sapiens? That could be a reality. Again, I think you're better off looking outside of the Bible and the Quran if you really want to find truth. But, most of us have been brought up with one or the other, or at least a little, on Sundays or a couple Sundays a month. There is some clues in there. I should say there are some clues in both books. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unaware. And again, the original interpretation of angel, it really comes out down to messenger. That's, the interpretation is messenger. Messenger of who? Messenger of God. Messenger of the gods, originally. Again, Elohim in the plural. And, it's, if you just look at these books and you don't look at anything else, yeah, you can see why people have a distorted sense, because they just looked at one side. They're just watching MSNBC all day and expecting to get all the answers. It ain't going to happen. Well, maybe we'll switch to CNN. No, you're not going to get all the answers there either. Nor at Fox News. You got to go outside and look at all of it. And really the best thing is developing the ability on the inside to sense the truth, which comes through with the activated pineal and the kundalini. When you have that going, then you could see things differently. I mean, you could read auras. You could see the energy around a person. You could see it change when they're lying. Yeah, you can't pull the wool over people's eyes. And you can't do that really in the Golden Age at all. And in the Silver Age, as we descend into the Bronze Age, it starts to become a little bit more of a possibility. And then the Bronze Age, more of a possibility as we descend into the Kali Yuga. And in the Kali Yuga, we're in the dark. That's why it's called the Dark Age.
Right. And, I don't want to just throw Kundalini out there and glorify it without saying there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. They have traumatized us to such a high degree. If you do go ahead and try to activate something like this and you are not ready, you have not come to terms with certain traumas in your life, this can really throw you for a loop. So this is why I always say when you do the right thing will happen. You're doing the meditation, you're doing the mantras, then these are things that can open up on their own in a safe manner. But don't think that they didn't do all that trauma for a very good reason.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's the key to control. It is the key to control. They control through trauma. And so when we look at the Nazca lines, which they're always discovering more and more of these gigantic lines that can only fully be seen from the sky. There's a clue. People were able to be up in the air, traveling around. It makes no sense, no logical sense otherwise. They were communicating with beings that were up in the sky quite clearly. And we look to the Hopi, their legends of the ant people. The ant people we were in contact with in New Mexico. And absolutely, their home planet is a planet that's really near to us. You cannot see it because of the holographic nature of the sky that they overlay. We actually have other planets that they would be visible, that are being hidden. So when people see sometimes planets in the sky, they really are sometimes really seeing planets in the sky. And there's glitches in the matrix. Absolutely. People are recognizing that. And these ant people led the Hopi down into caverns to survive the cataclysm of the Younger Dryas, and then told them when it was okay and brought them back up, out to the surface after it all subsided. So they were saviors of many, many lives. These are good beings. These are benevolent beings, and they're not far off from us, and they're not far frequency-wise off from us. But they're not under the draconian system.
No, they've made a choice. They've taken certain actions to claim their own freedom. And
like the blue avians are a real thing, which, I've taken everything from Corey Good and David Wilcox with a little grain of salt. Again, they're so out in the public eye, just like David Icke, you're either protected by the Federation or somehow you're being used to give disclosure in a controlled manner. You step outside the line, it's not good. It's not good because if it's not you, it could be a loved one that has a tragic accident. But you can see they made depictions of what they saw. Oh yeah, there's artwork everywhere of beings that look like, I don't know, was it a bad dream? Was it a spooky dream? What's going on here? There's many statues of reptilian type of beings all over the world, identical statues, Mesoamerica and over in the Fertile Crescent, over in Babylon. These are real beings. These are very, very real beings. And, again, our reality is much more like Star Wars than it is so much other alternatives. The Dogon tribe and their Nordic alien gods from Sirius. Well, the Dogon talked all about the reptilians. They talked all about the nasty reptilians. And, all their nasty habits and the fact that they are the ones that have taken over control of the planet. And, there's so many different beings that we come in contact with, some malevolent, some benevolent, and then a ton just kind of neutral. They are just either observing from a curious point of view, wanting to see what's going to happen because it is quite a show. Or, even they're just looking to do trade of sorts. They're just looking to, and they do. There's so many that come and go all the time. Even under this dark control system, we are interacting with many, many different species and doing various sorts of trade. Some, nefarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but trade is something that's just, it's universal. It's what beings do, and sometimes that's all they're here to do is just navigate trades.
Yeah, and then we have the water beings, and there's just so much. Again, the original settlers of Earth, the ones that we might take as the founders of Lemuria Mu, were water-based beings. It's fascinating that Avatar was covering that too. Again, there's a little disclosure in there, a little disclosure with the blue skin beings that get you thinking about Krishna, get you thinking about other ones as well.
Well, not to mention that one part with the whale, and they did that thing with the whale. That was absolutely horrible.
And another thing, like with the Dogon, they understood Sirius A and B. And again, how did they know a star was there that is invisible without modern equipment? How did they know? Because they were told it was there. Again, it's the extraterrestrials that tell us this. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. There's a translation, thou shalt have no other alien gods before me. Mm-hmm. Because again, people saw these beings with all sorts of technology and worshiped them. But, they're not the creators. Although, the Anunnaki will try to state that they are mankind's creators. Well, what they are the ones that fuse the second chromosome, the ones that are always trying to make a better slave race with less free will and less life expectancy.
Right. There's just so many things going on when it comes to our human race and the decisions and the choices that we make right now that is going to split our energy and put us in a place where we have freedom and we can join our other brothers, galactic brothers and sisters out there, for more evolution.
Absolutely. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that's in heaven above. When you look up, if you're not seeing aliens landing, what do you see? Stars. Oh, okay. So you don't want us seeing stars? You don't want us drawing stars? Because that's all you see. The stars, moon. What else do you see? They're obviously, this is all about hiding things. This is the darkest of the dark age right here. Don't make any images. No paintings showing what you see going on in the heavens or that is in the earth beneath or under the water. Again, they would see ships going from the skies down into the waters. And we do to this day. We see ships coming out of the waters going off into the sky. Because, there are inner earth beings. There are beings that are still living in cities under the oceans. We haven't even begun to really see what's under the oceans as well. Now, I, the Lord, thy God, am a jealous God. So, again, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Obey, little slave, obey. So, obviously this is not the creator, because there's no love there. It's do or you get punished. It's all whip. There's no love. There's no love there. It's so obvious. It's just so obvious. When we look to the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, there's so much there. The description of Vaikuntha. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. In those Vaikuntha planets. What? In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are wish-fulfilling trees. And in the seasons, they are filled with flowers and fruits because everything in the Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. In the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and eternally sing of the character and activities of the Lord. Now, when they refer here to the Lord, they're talking about the creator of this universe, not a jealous being. Very, very different. So there. And when you really read, like I was in bed like maybe 6 months ago, and I remember Cindy was drifting off to sleep, and I had to wake her up and say, this verse is exactly what is in the Bible. They've just changed a little bit of it, going into some of the Hindu holy books. I forget if it was one of the Puranas, but it was word for word, and they've just twisted it a little bit. And this is what they've done. When we talk about the Bible and the Quran, we're talking about dark age versions of real knowledge that has been twisted and distorted.
Right, dark age versions of true enlightenment. They take it because they know most people are not going to take the time to develop that truth within, have that magnetic, it's like this magnetic type of energy where you feel the truth and it comes through your soul and it comes to you, and there's no denying it. It's just something you can't really put your finger on it, but you can develop it and it can be yours. But that's exactly what they're trying so hard to keep people from doing, is developing that truth, because then guess what? We see past the control grid. We see past the political structure. We see past, all what they're doing to the foods and what they're putting in the foods. And we know to put healthy things in our body because that builds our life force. It builds our ability to discern. So really, there is, like in the first level, when we talk about a veil, there is no veil. You can see what you see. It is right there in front of you. When you pick up a food that's full of preservatives and, you look at the ingredients and you still eat it, it's like you haven't developed that discernment yet because it's just like, but it's right there, yet you can see it. The political structure, you can see it. Although if you develop that discernment, you can see through it. You can see past it. And that's what they're trying to avoid.
Absolutely. So, clearly we are talking about beings that were here on Earth and they were trying to teach us the right ways. And again, it's only when we get right at the edge of the Kali Yuga that the power structure switches. It switches in the Dwapara. It switches in the Bronze. And right now it's about to switch because we're in the Bronze and, they only have a little time left maintaining this illusion. It clearly was known that, for instance, Rama from the Ramayana, who is taken to be an incarnation of Vishnu, when they say that, again, we get that Rama is a distinct, different entity from Krishna, even though they're both taken to be avatars of Vishnu. I think really what they're saying when they say avatars of Vishnu, they're talking about beings that really embody the spirit of the Creator and the original intention of this creation, which is free will and exploration.
Right, which can also cause a lot of chaos and a dark age. So, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in a very chaotic place. And this is really hard to explain. When you come to enlightenment, it's not that free will falls away, but you are really drawn so magnetically to what is in balance and to what is true, and you're drawn to what is real. It's like you don't want to turn any other way, but yet you still have free will. So it's just something that's difficult for me to get across.
Yeah, and then I'll see comments from time to time. How do you know your guides are not the bad ones? It's all about the energy signature. It's so clear. We had at one point in time, the Anunnaki themselves reached out to us, and we would obviously not let them take control of the channel, and they wouldn't be allowed to from our guides. Our guides would not allow that. Yet we could feel their energy, and it was a very, very kind of pompous, egotistical energy, arrogance, and viewing us as totally inferior, but understanding too. That's only because humanity doesn't understand its position, because we can go where they can't go anymore. They're stuck. They are truly stuck. They're not getting out of this muck and mire without eons of work, and they want to pull people into the same situation as themselves. Misery likes company, so to speak. But at the same time, honestly, many of them do feel that they made the right choice for themselves, but they are literally stuck, and they are so tied to this AI grid that their original soul essence isn't even really there anymore. So very much like a vampire that when it gets staked through its heart, there's nothing. Well, that's what they're like. It's just there's nothing. Now with us, destroy the body, we're still there. And, so there was also the question, how can the soul go up to fifth density? Isn't it tied into a karmic loop? Again, if it's really the desire to come down and to experience this reality that pulls us into that, it's the desire. If the higher self decides not to, then you can withdraw and go on up into the higher densities. It's an individual choice. So, it's not like and this is where I guess we disagree with some aspects of some Buddhism. Again, there's different Buddhist thoughts and takes on things too. We don't think it has to be about escaping this reality at all. The other thing is, this reality is where we make the most growth. This is where we change. When we come down here, it's a risky gamble in some ways. We could have damage done, and we might have to correct that damage, but we can also gain experience that grows the soul. This is all about soul growth. So when we are in a golden age, Cindy was getting this morning, there's really not a lot of opportunity for soul growth, believe it or not.
No, I mean, the opportunity is here. The opportunity for expansion, because you are blinded, is here. It happens here. So when we are in a golden age, you have what you have. You have what you came into this body in this dark age. You go to the golden age with that. And everything in the golden age, when it comes to speech, when it comes to jewelry, when it comes to dress, when it comes to ceremonies, everything has purpose. It's like there is no frivolence in a golden age. Everything is in harmony. Everything is the way it's supposed to be, and it's accepted. I think that's what we're lacking here is people don't accept where they're at, because there's a lot of emotional pain. There's so much emotional pain in this realm. But without the emotional pain, how do we know where we need to grow? It's like that jabbing in the emotional ribs is what keeps driving us to try to do better, to try to be better. And sometimes we get taken off of our track. Sometimes we get thrown off a little bit. So it hurts a little more. So, unfortunately, the more pain you're in, the more you really need to focus in on that pain. It's like you have to drive and look directly at that pain and figure out where is that coming from. But this is growth. This is expansion. Just like you look at somebody's chart and you see where Jupiter sits, this is your growth. This is your expansion. This is where you're going to expand in this life. There's so many ways to dissect what we're doing here, if you so choose. I mean, if that's what you choose to do is spiritual growth, then that's what you do. If you want to come here for a sensual experience and just experience the cars, the house, the food, then that's what you come here to do. But everybody has their reason, their purpose. They do their growth, and they go around into another age, and they take the growth that they have done in the dark age with them.
Absolutely. It's all about growth, and this is the opportunity for the biggest growth. And right now you have the opportunity to help change the system. You're actually part of shifting the paradigm away from a dark age control system into one in which all good things are possible. You're part of that. That's huge. That's a huge responsibility, but you wouldn't be listening to this if you were not ready for that. So we wanted to share this with you guys. Again, how do you know? It's the overwhelming love that comes from them too. I felt overwhelming love at certain kirtans I've been at, but it doesn't even come close to when these benevolent guides are around. Cindy couldn't control herself. She just broke down crying when Vishnu came through, and she experienced a miraculous healing. That's not a demonic thing, not at all. So we just wanted to share that with you guys. As always, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.